You think dogs love you because you feed them, but studies show something stranger about the bond. When a dog stares at you, both brains release the same hormone a mother gets holding her newborn. Feeding has almost nothing to do with it. The chemistry runs much deeper than a simple food reward. Think about that. The animal sleeping at your feet runs the same neurochemical program a human infant does. Not a metaphor, not a cute comparison. Same hormone, same feedback loop, same ancient mammalian wiring underneath. And it gets weirder. Dogs are not just tame wolves shrunk down into a smaller, friendlier body. Somewhere between the last ice age and your living room couch, something profound happened to them, slowly. Their brains changed. Their hormones changed. Even their faces changed. All tuned around one specific thing. Us. Turns out your dog isn't just loyal to you. It's chemically hooked on you at a hormonal level.
Let's define obsession here, because the word gets thrown around loosely. Scientists studying the dog-human bond mean three behaviors. First, eye contact. Dogs seek out our eyes on purpose, holding that gaze like almost no other animal. Second, following. A dog trails you from kitchen to bathroom to bedroom to kitchen again, for no reason, forever. Third, separation stress. Leave a dog alone, cortisol climbs, heart rate changes, and it waits by the door. Think about what other animals actually do this. Cats live with us, but a cat is basically a roommate. A roommate who tolerates your existence in exchange for food and warm sunny spots on the living room floor. Horses read human body language brilliantly, but they don't stare into your soul from across the quiet room. Chimpanzees share almost 99% of our DNA and still can't reliably follow where a human is pointing. Dogs can. A puppy can do it at 8 weeks old without any training, just wired for us.
The question matters. No other animal on Earth does what a dog does with a human. Not one. Once you notice that, you have to ask why. What did evolution do to this particular species alone? The answer, turns out, tells us something uncomfortable. Not just about dogs, about us, about what we select for, about what we shape with our attention. Dogs are a mirror, and what stares back is stranger than expected. Because thousands of years ago, something strange happened at our campfires. Here's the paradox that makes this interesting. Ancient humans were terrifying. Scientists call our ancestors a super predator, and they mean it literally. Coordinated hunters. We used fire, projectiles, traps. We drove entire species of megafauna to extinction across every continent we touched. If you were a wolf 20,000 years ago and saw humans crossing a valley, one move was correct. Leave immediately. And yet, some wolves didn't leave. Some crept closer. Some sat up the edge of firelight.
Watching hominins tear meat off a carcass, they decided the risk was worth it. Those wolves shouldn't exist. Everything in evolution says they should have died first, picked off by a spear or driven out for weakness. But that's not what happened. It's called the self-domestication hypothesis, and it flips this whole story around. The idea is simple. Nobody sat down and tamed a wolf. That's a children's book version of history. What happened is that the wolves who were slightly less afraid, more curious, more tolerant, got closer. They got closer to the scraps. They ate first. They ate more. They had healthier, stronger pups too.
Their pups inherited the same, slightly less afraid temperament. Do that for thousands of generations and something really changes. You don't have a wolf anymore. You have something entirely new. An animal bred to want us nearby. Not because humans forced it, because being near humans was, generation by generation, the winning survival strategy. The friendliest wolves ate first. The friendliest wolves bred more. The friendliest wolves eventually became actual dogs. That's the whole engine. Once you understand it, you realize your dog is not really a tamed predator. Your dog is a creature whose ancestors chose us because we were the best food source in the neighborhood. But friendliness alone doesn't explain the staring. Plenty of animals are friendly. Sheep are friendly. Cows too. They don't sit at your feet and stare at you for 20 minutes straight. Something specific is happening.
In 2015, a group of Japanese researchers ran an experiment that changed how we think. They took dogs and their owners, put them in a room together, measured a hormone called oxytocin. They measured it in the urine of both. Oxytocin is sometimes called the bonding hormone for a reason. It's what floods a new mother's brain the moment she first looks down at her tiny baby. It's what makes you feel warm and stupid, dizzy and unfocused around someone that you truly love. The dogs and owners were told to interact normally. Play a little, talk a little, look at each other. When researchers checked oxytocin levels afterwards, they found something remarkable. Both the dog and the human had spiked, and the longer they'd held mutual eye contact, the higher the spike went for both of them. Then they ran it with wolves. Wolves raised by humans from birth, hand-fed, socialized, treated exactly like dogs. And the wolves would not hold the gaze. They looked away. They didn't lock in at all. The oxytocin loop never fired. Somewhere along the way, dogs developed something that wolves simply don't have. They developed the ability to trigger the human bonding hormone just by looking deep into our eyes. And more than that, their own bodies developed the ability to release that same hormone right back. Look at your dog. Your dog looks at you. Both brains dose themselves with the same chemical. The exact same chemical that a mother and her infant share in the earliest moments of life. Your dog didn't just learn to live with you. Your dog hijacked the parental wiring of your species. Not through training, not through anything you did consciously. This happened through pure evolution over thousands of years. Imagine you're a puppy, and every time you meet the eyes of the hairless creature controlling your food, both of you feel a little pulse of chemical happiness. So you make eye contact more and more. So does the human. And over thousands of generations, that little feedback loop tightens tighter and tighter, until it isn't just a loop anymore. It's a bond, as chemically tight as a parent and child. And over time, their bodies actually change physically to make that gaze completely irresistible to our eyes. Turns out, dogs have a tiny facial muscle wolves do not have. That fact surprised me the most. It's called the levator anguli oculi medialis. Long name, small muscle, right above the inner eye corner. Its only job is to lift the inner eyebrow. That's it. One muscle, one purpose, nothing else at all. You know that face your dog makes when you're eating something good and it's not getting any bite? That wide, sad, pleading look with the furrowed forehead? It's powered almost entirely by that one small muscle. Wolves cannot make that face. They physically cannot make it. The muscle simply isn't there in their anatomy. Researchers dissected dogs and wolves side by side. In dogs, this muscle is well developed and consistent across every breed. In wolves, it's either a scattered wisp of tissue or missing entirely. That's a huge anatomical difference. So somewhere in the last 15,000 years, evolution grew a brand new facial muscle onto dogs. And it only exists to move the eyebrow. Why would that happen? Why sculpt a whole new muscle? Because we like it. That's the answer. That's the whole answer, honestly. Nothing more complicated than that. Studies show when humans see dogs making that inner eyebrow lift, we respond faster. We adopt them faster from shelters. We coo at them. We give them food. Researchers say we treat them as more infant-like, more baby-like. So for thousands of years, dogs with the strongest puppy eye muscle got picked. Got fed, got kept, got bred. We didn't just accept dogs. We shaped their faces, generation after generation, without a single conscious decision. We selected the ones that looked the most heartbreaking. Their faces changed to match what we couldn't refuse. So dogs didn't just adapt to us.
We sculpted them, and they're ridiculously good at reading us back. Try this. Point at something. A bowl, a toy, a spot on the floor. A dog follows your finger. Trivial, right? A 1-year-old toddler does it. Except a chimpanzee, our closest relative, cannot reliably do this. Not without heavy training. Chimps look at the finger. Dogs look at where the finger actually points. That difference is enormous. Dogs come pre-installed assuming humans have intentions worth tracking, and they read us constantly. They read our eyes for attention, our voices for mood, our posture to see if we're a threat.
And they do all of it without ever being taught. There's a phenomenon in humans called yawn contagion. When one person yawns, others nearby yawn. It's an empathy signal, tied to brains syncing with someone's state. Dogs yawn when we yawn, especially owners. The closer the bond, the more likely they catch the yawn. It gets stranger. Studies show dogs can actually smell our stress through our breath and sweat compounds. In one experiment, dogs got samples of human sweat from calm and stressed states and picked out stress accurately. Then, around a stressed human, their behavior shifted. They became more cautious, more attentive to what we felt. Now here's the wild part. Dogs almost certainly do not have what scientists call self-awareness like we do. They don't recognize themselves in mirrors. They probably don't think about themselves as characters in a story. And yet, without any of that self-awareness, they read us better than most humans read each other. They don't need to know who they are to know exactly what we are in this moment. Which raises a genuinely uncomfortable question about who's really in charge of this whole arrangement between us. What does a dog have to do to survive in the modern world? Almost nothing at all. Food arrives in a bowl, shelter is provided, water, warmth, medical care, protection from predators, all free. In exchange, the dog offers what exactly? Company, eye contact, a wagging tail. That's an incredible trade. From a strict evolutionary standpoint, dogs pulled off one of the greatest scams in life on Earth. They convinced a super predator, a species that drove mammoths to extinction, to feed and house them. They did it by evolving a face that hits our caregiving buttons, and a hormone loop mimicking parenthood. You could argue, and some scientists really do, that we didn't domesticate dogs. Dogs domesticated us instead. They found the niche of exploiting the human caregiving instinct and specialized until they were undisputed champions. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not a one-way exploitation, because we change too, quite dramatically. Remember that oxytocin study? The hormone doesn't just spike in the dog, it spikes in the human. When you look into your dog's eyes, your body treats it like an act of parenting itself. Your blood pressure drops. Your cortisol level drops. Your mood lifts noticeably. This bond is genuinely mutual. Humans who live with dogs, on average, have measurably lower resting stress markers. We are getting something out too. We evolved to bond with infants, and dogs slotted themselves into that circuitry, into ancient parental wiring. Our bond with them isn't just a habit or a hobby, it's a two-way biological contract now, written into both species over thousands of years. We gave them a niche, they gave us hormones. Nobody's really in charge here. Both species drifted toward each other because it worked. That's finished coevolution. That contract has consequences you feel every single day. Ever wonder why your dog acts so weird? When you leave the house, whining, pacing, chewing the couch, staring at the door for hours straight, that behavior isn't misbehavior at all. It's a broken, ancient contract, 15,000 years in the making. The pack stays together. The human is the pack. When you vanish without warning, dog panic activates. Because in the deep evolutionary past, being separated from the group meant certain death for a dog. Separation anxiety is your dog running an emergency subroutine designed for a mammoth hunt gone terribly wrong. It has no way to know you're actually coming back. It only knows the group is broken, And that guilty stare when you come home to find something chewed up? Not real guilt, actually. That's a dog reading your body language, your tone, your posture, figuring out that you are upset. Then broadcasting the signal it evolved to broadcast when a human nearby appears visibly upset or angry. Big eyes, ears back, inner eyebrow raised. Exactly the muscle we talked about in the earlier segment. It's the puppy face doing exactly the job it was designed by evolution to do for us. You are not being manipulated by a con artist. You are being read by an expert. There's a difference. Meanwhile, when you sit on the couch and pet your dog for 10 minutes, your blood pressure drops, your heart rate slows. Studies show even watching fish in a tank does this, but dogs do it stronger. Because your body still thinks on some level that stroking a warm mammal means the pack is safe, the child is fed, the fire is lit. So this obsession isn't one-sided. Your dog isn't the needy one. You are both needy in the relationship. You just don't chew the couch about it. That's the only difference. Your dog is doing exactly what 15,000 years of evolution shaped it to do day after day. And you're doing exactly what 15,000 years of coevolution shaped you to do in return. The staring, the following, the greeting at the door, the sad face when you pack a suitcase, all of it is the contract holding. Which makes you wonder, what other animals we've quietly rewired? Because dogs aren't the only species that lives with us. But they are the only one playing this exact game. Cats, for example, went through a completely different process. Cats basically domesticated themselves around 10,000 years ago, when humans started storing grain. Where there's grain, there are mice. Where there are mice, there are cats. Cats moved in, ate the pests, and got tolerated. But cats never developed that gaze bond with us. Their oxytocin loops with humans are weaker. They read us, but more like a landlord watches a tenant. Horses are another interesting case. They read human body language remarkably well. A rider shifts weight, horse responds. But horses don't stare at you for comfort. They don't seek eye contact as a bonding ritual. Their relationship with us is deep, but different. It's more like a coworker than a family member. Only dogs slid all the way into the parent-infant slot. Only dogs learn to trigger that mother-baby hormone. Which means something specific happened with dogs that didn't happen with anyone else. And here's the thing, it makes you wonder about humans. There's a growing idea we did the exact same thing to ourselves, that humans, somewhere along the way, became the self-domesticated primate. Softer faces, smaller teeth, less aggression, longer childhoods. The same signs you see in dogs versus wolves, you see in modern humans versus older hominins. Which brings up a strange question. If the friendliest wolves became dogs, what became of the friendliest humans? Are we the descendants of the versions of us that simply got along, that bonded through eye contact? Did we breed ourselves into a species that reads faces obsessively and gets sick when we're isolated? I don't want to answer that here, that's a whole other rabbit hole for another day entirely. But it's the kind of question you honestly can't stop thinking about once it's lodged in your head. Which brings us all the way back to that dog quietly staring at you across the room right now. Because that stare isn't cute. Not really. That stare is 15,000 years of natural selection sitting on your floor. That stare is a new facial muscle, a hormone loop, a hijacked parental instinct, a species that chose us back. That stare is a contract older than agriculture, older than cities, older than writing itself, carried between you both. Your dog doesn't love you the way people say. Your dog loves you in a way that is chemically specific, structurally specific, evolutionarily specific, a way no other animal on Earth has ever loved a human being. A way we can now measure in urine samples, dissect in muscle fibers, and see under a microscope. And the strangest part, when you sit with all of this, is that the love goes both ways. You didn't choose to feel calmer when your dog rests its head on your leg. Your body just does that. Because your body was shaped by the same 15,000 years on the other side of the ancient contract. If you found any of this interesting, subscribe. I just explain stuff I find genuinely weird, and there's more coming. Next one is about that other question, the one about us, whether humans are the self-domesticated primate, and what that would even mean for how we live now. Stick around.